Welcome to the Daily Review. This is Razak, Senior Trading Strategist here at CMTrading. And today is September 14, 2023, and today is Thursday morning. So looking at the highlights of the day, Amazon reaches and trades through its new 2023 year highs. Not all time, but 2023 year highs, and that's important. Now first, looking at today's major economic events. So coming out at 2:15 South African time out of the European Union, we have the ECB, the European Central Bank, will be publishing a main refinancing rate. Then at 2:30 South African time out of the United States, a monthly retail sales number coming out. Now, as we look at the various markets, starting out with the Forex symbols, the major pair is pretty much tapering off and unchanged. And as we look at the indices, the Dow Jones remains unchanged, but the NASDAQ trades higher and bounces back. Now, looking at commodities, gold continues to trickle lower and oil on its highs. Now, as we look at the stocks, specifically Amazon making those new highs, while Apple retreats and sits on its supportish level. Now, lastly, looking at cryptocurrencies, Bitcoin spikes and then makes a correction. So let's take a look at the markets and see what we can expect from today's trading. So here we go with the Euro USD and pretty much flatlining, okay? It's just tapering off, just sitting on that supportish area and not doing much. So it may be pivoting to a major move today. Remember, the ECB is coming out with their refinancing rate today. So this may spike here today or break lower, but then you could act accordingly, okay? But at this level right now, it's not doing much, okay? Now jumping into the GBP USD, this was one that we were taking a look at very carefully yesterday, and you see that it touched its 200-day moving average right there. You could see that very clearly. Just touched it and made a doji. Okay, now a doji, generally speaking, is a type of candle where it has a long stick and very short candle. The wax part is very small, and that's exactly what you see here. And that is relatively an indication that there's some market question mark. What the market doesn't know which way it wants to go. So keep that in mind as a doji does that, okay? And we are just flatlining here as well. So this ECB, European Central Bank, coming out with the main refinancing rate today is super important. So keep that in mind. Now jumping into commodities, gold continues to trickle lower, but again, not doing much, okay? I mean, if you look at a 4-hour chart, just trickling, okay? This is, if you have the time to take it 2-3 days and hold on to it, great. Okay, this is that type of trade. Now looking at crude oil, didn't do much, remaining unchanged, but sitting on its highs, which is maybe an indication that it wants to go higher, okay? So keep that in mind. And if it does break out higher, remember, we have $92 as a resistance-ish level, at least in the short term. Now jumping into the US markets first, the Dow Jones, unchanged day to day, really, you can see that quite clearly. Okay, still waiting for some news from the United States as things are still unfolding in terms of the inflationary rate. No big surprises yesterday with the CPI, so the markets are taking that into stride. Now, looking at the NASDAQ, we got a little bit of a bounce, okay? We traded higher, back to our 15,600-ish level, and specifically, if we take a look, Amazon was the one. Look at that, a nice push upwards with momentum, with volume, okay, and making new highs for the year. This is a daily chart, so you can see that. Now look at a weekly, can't see it so clearly here, but we still have room to make some more on the upside, okay? It's not all-time record highs, so this fact that Amazon is kind of bouncing back is part of the miracle of, 2023 economics, that the central banks are, refinancing their interest rates and, kind of imbuing some more life into the economy. And we see it right here, okay? Amazon does not have to be at these levels, okay? This is really just very important. Now looking at Microsoft, also pushed up higher just a little bit. But if you look at Apple, it's dead on its support, okay? And this is really disconcerting because this, if it does break this 170-ish level, this could mean they're going to make a significant correction on the downside. Now, with that said, Apple still has room to make up for their sales loss that they lost with China in other places. So keep that in mind. I mean, this is really a very diversified company, and today their standing is much better than it was ever before. If I saw that they missed their targets and they guided lower, then I would get concerned. But at this level, okay, I'm not super concerned, but technically speaking, we are hitting some major thresholds, okay, at least in the short term. So keep that in mind. Now, jumping into Bitcoin, lastly, okay, we got a little bit of a spike yesterday, but I mean, you can see this quite clearly. It's just trading sideways. I mean, we've been over the past year just between a 15,000 point range, okay, but most of that time since, middle of August, we've been, really in a $5,000 range, even less than that over the past couple of weeks if you, take away that spike with that news event that came out. But besides that, it's really not been trading. So, keep your eye on the European market, especially today with the ECB coming out with its main refinancing rate. Put some stop losses in place before you enter the market so that you don't get hurt. Okay, defense before offense, and keep that in mind. This is Fed Razak. I want to wish everybody a great trading day. Thank you.